What if I told you that in Somerset right now, you can get onto the property ladder for less than the cost of a small city car? I'm not talking about fantasy listings or abandoned ruins in the middle of nowhere. I mean real livable homes, flats in market towns, village apartments, even 2 and 3 bedroom places with parking, gardens, or both. And some of them start at prices that feel like they belong in another decade. We found 10 properties across Somerset, each one sitting under that psychological 6-figure line. A few are shared ownership, which lowers the entry point. A couple are retirement apartments designed for simpler living. Others are auction opportunities that need a bit of nerve. But every single one is real, currently available, and priced low enough to make you stop scrolling. So in this video, we're walking through 10 of the cheapest homes currently on the market in Somerset. We'll look at what you actually get for the money, who each property might suit, and where the real opportunity lies. And remember, the lowest price home is actually at the end of this video. Alright, let's start with something that genuinely makes you pause for a second. First place, £100,000 in Somerset. And not some collapsing shell in the middle of nowhere. This is right in the heart of Wellington. Tucked just off the high street at Swan Court, this one-bedroom first-floor flat feels a bit like one of those properties you only notice if someone points it out to you. It sits behind the main row of buildings, down a small passageway near Waitrose, so you're technically in the town centre, but without the shop front noise right outside your window. That balance is rare at this price. Inside, it's surprisingly straightforward in a good way. You come through the entrance lobby, head upstairs to the landing, and from there everything flows off neatly. There's a proper living room, rather than an awkward open corner. The kitchen comes with an integral cooker already in place. The bathroom has a clean white suite. And the bedroom, it's a genuine double. Not one of those double if you remove the wardrobe and breathe carefully situations. It's double glazed, electric heating, practical, manageable. What stands out here isn't luxury, it's ease. There's no onward chain, which immediately removes one of the biggest headaches buyers face. The lease is long. Maintenance feels predictable. If you're a first-time buyer trying to escape renting, this could be one of those stepping stones that actually makes sense. And if you're thinking investment, being this close to town amenities gives it steady rental appeal. Step outside and you're within walking distance of everything. Wellington offers shops, cafes, everyday essentials. Regular bus routes connect you to Taunton, and the M5 and A38 are about a mile away, so commuting isn't a struggle. Yet within minutes you can also reach open countryside. That contrast is part of Wellington's charm. It's a busy market town, but it doesn't feel boxed in. This isn't a flashy property. It doesn't pretend to be something it's not. But for £100,000 in this location, with this layout and no chain complications, it's the kind of purchase that feels sensible, quietly sensible. And sometimes, especially in today's market, sensible might actually be shockingly smart. Second place. Now this one feels different straight away. We're in Keynsham on Bath Road, and the asking price sits at £95,000. Under £100,000, yes, but this isn't aimed at everyone. It's a purpose-built retirement apartment with a qualifying age of 60 and over. And that changes the whole conversation. Because what you're really buying here isn't just a one-bedroom flat. You're buying ease. The building has lift access, so no daily stair battles. There's an intercom system and emergency pull cords throughout the apartment, including the lounge, bedroom, and shower room. It feels designed for peace of mind rather than flash. I think that matters more than fancy finishes at this stage of life. Now, if we get inside, the layout feels practical. The lounge diner stretches over 16 feet in length, with a double glazed tilt and turn window bringing in light. There's an electric storage heater, wall light points, and enough space for a proper seating area, plus a dining table. It doesn't feel cramped from the measurements. From there, an archway leads into a modern kitchen with cream units, laminated worktops and tiled splashbacks. It comes fitted with a dishwasher, fridge, eye-level oven, and a 2-plate ceramic hob. Not oversized, but efficient. The bedroom has a built-in wardrobe, another tilt and turn window, and again, that emergency cord system. The shower room features a walk-in cubicle with a seat, vanity basin, washroom and wall heater. Clean, functional, manageable. And here is also many other things that makes this property stand out. The communal facilities. There's a shared lounge with its own kitchen area, used for gatherings and small events. A laundry room with washing and drying machines. Maintained gardens with lawns, shrubs and seating areas. Even a guest suite that residents can rent at reasonable rates for visiting family, overlooking those gardens. The monthly maintenance charge covers things like water and use of these shared spaces. And location-wise, it works. Keynsham sits between Bristol and Bath, with local bus stops nearby and solid transport links. You're not isolated. You're connected, but not overwhelmed. It's leasehold, council tax band B, EPC rating B, and crucially, there's no chain involved. So while it may not suit a young first-time buyer, for the right person at the right stage, £95,000 for security, community, and convenience in Somerset feels quietly compelling. Third place. All right, next home is Midsummer Norton at Stanley Court. And again, the price sits at £95,000. Still under that six-figure mark, still in Somerset. But this home leans toward a slightly different stage of life. It's a ground floor apartment designed for the over 55s, and that ground floor detail alone will matter to some people more than anything else. No lift needed, no daily stair climbing. Just step inside from the communal entrance and you're there. The flat itself has already been redecorated, which honestly removes a lot of mental effort for a buyer. You walk into an entrance hall with an airing cupboard housing the hot water tank, and from there the space opens up into a dual aspect sitting and dining room. That dual aspect bit makes a difference. Windows to both the front and side mean natural light shifts through the day rather than hitting from just one direction. It tends to make a room feel more alive, even if the footprint isn't huge. The kitchen keeps things simple. Matching base and wall units, rolled edgework, surfaces, stainless steel sink, electric oven and hob. Practical rather than flashy. You could move in and use it as it is, then update slowly if you felt like it. The bedroom offers built-in wardrobes with mirrored sliding doors, which always help a room feel slightly bigger. There's space for a proper bed, not just a squeezed-in frame. Emergency pull cords run through the main rooms, including the shower room, so there's that added reassurance woven into the design. The shower room itself feels contemporary, with an electric shower, vanity unit, water cabinet, and an electric towel rail radiator. Clean, manageable. But similar to the previous property, the shared elements matter here too. Residents have access to a communal lounge and conservatory, a laundry room, and maintained gardens. It creates a sense of community without forcing it. You can join in or not. The choice stays yours. Location-wise, Stanley Court sits just off the high street through an archway near the top end. Shops, cafes, and everyday essentials sit within walking distance. So downsizing doesn't mean isolating yourself. Council tax band A keeps costs lower. It's leasehold, and yeah, chain-free. Overall, this home is about comfort, independence, and staying close to everything you need. For someone ready to simplify life without shrinking it too much, £95,000 feels reasonable. Fourth place. For the next one, we're going to Yeovil, Cavalier Walk. And the asking price, £82,500, 2 bedrooms. At that number, you almost expect a catch. And there is one, technically. This property is going to auction, which means if your bid wins, contracts exchange immediately. No cooling off period, no long back and forth. You need to be ready. That alone makes this feel more serious. Now let's look at what's actually here. It's a ground floor flat, which immediately gives it broader appeal. Not everyone wants stairs. The layout includes an entrance hall, a living room measuring just over 14 feet by 10, a kitchen that sits at roughly 9 by 9, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. Bedroom 1 stretches to 13 feet in length. Bedroom 2 is smaller, but still usable as a guest room, child's room, or even a home office. And then there's something that genuinely makes this stand out at the price point. A rear garden. For a leasehold flat under £85,000, having outdoor space is not something you automatically expect. Even if it's modest, that bit of private outside area changes how a property feels. Morning coffee outside, a small seating area, a few plants. It adds flexibility. The EPC rating comes in at C76, which is actually decent. It suggests the place won't bleed energy costs the way some older flats can. That matters more than people think, especially if this becomes a rental. Location-wise, Yeovil works as a practical town. Yeovil Penmill Station sits under a mile away. Yeovil Junction is just over 2 miles. Schools like Primrose Lane Primary and Birchfield Community Primary sit within walking distance. So if someone looked at this as a starter home for a small family, it wouldn't be unrealistic. Now there are additional costs. An administration fee of £1,200, including VAT. A buyer's premium of £1,500 including VAT. You'd need to study the legal pack carefully. Auction purchases demand homework. But step back for a second. 2 bedrooms, ground floor, rear garden, EPCC, £82,500. In Somerset. That's the kind of listing that makes investors look twice. And first-time buyers with a bit of courage might do the same. 5th place. Next house is at £75,000. I mean, that's the kind of number that makes you check twice to see if you read it properly. This one sits at Knightstone Court on Highbridge Road in Burnham-on-Sea. 2 bedrooms, first floor, and it's vacant, which instantly removes the waiting game. No tenants to negotiate with, just a clean starting point. The lounge and dining area stretches over 18 feet in length. That's bigger than you might expect at this price bracket. It gives you room for a proper sofa setup, plus a dining table without it feeling forced. The kitchen runs just under 12 feet long, practical and separate rather than squeezed into a corner of the living space. Bedroom 1 measures just over 10 by 10. Bedroom 2 is slightly narrower, but still a usable second bedroom, rather than a token box room. Bathroom dimensions are compact but standard for a flat of this size. EPC rating sits at C70, which is solid. If you don't have any idea, Band C usually covers scores from 69 to 80, and C70 in here mean he score is 70. Energy efficiency in the C band suggests it won't be punishing on heating bills. Broadband speeds reportedly reach ultra-fast levels up to 330 megabits per second in the area, which quietly adds appeal for remote workers or tenants. Outside, there are communal gardens and allocated off-road parking. Parking alone can tilt the balance in seaside towns where on-street spaces disappear quickly in summer. There's also a storage cupboard, which is one of those small details that makes day-to-day living easier. One detail worth noting, it will be sold with a new 999-year lease. That's substantial. Lease length anxiety basically disappears at that point. Council tax is Band A, keeping running costs lower. And Burnham-on-Sea itself offers coastal access, local shops and steady rental demand, particularly during holiday seasons. At £75,000 plus auction fees, this doesn't scream luxury. It whispers opportunity. For an investor, it's numbers. For a first-time buyer, it could be a way onto the ladder at a price point that feels almost old-fashioned. And honestly, seeing 2 bedrooms at this level in Somerset, it's hard not to look twice. 6th place. Moving forward, next home we are going to show you is for £68,000 in Martock. But just like the previous property, we need to slow down for a second. This price reflects a 40% shared ownership share, not full ownership. Still, for someone trying to get a foothold in a village that rarely sees lower entry prices, it's worth looking at properly. The home itself is a 1-bedroom coach house set on the first floor along Long Orchard Way. Coach houses always have a slightly tucked away feel, a bit more privacy than a standard flat. A little less foot traffic outside your window. It makes a difference. Inside, the layout is open plan between the kitchen and living area. That means one continuous space for cooking, eating, and relaxing. It's the sort of setup that works well whether you live alone or as a couple. The double bedroom offers enough room for proper storage without feeling cramped, and the bathroom is modern and straightforward. Nothing overcomplicated. But here's where this property pulls ahead slightly. A private enclosed garden. That's not something you expect with a coach house, especially not at a much shared ownership entry price. Even a modest outdoor space changes how you experience a home. Morning coffee outside, a small table and chairs, a few plants. It gives breathing room. There's also covered parking for 2 vehicles, which feels generous for a 1-bedroom property. Add gas, central heating, and double glazing, and the practical side of things is covered. Now let's touch on shared ownership clearly. With 40% purchased, you would take a mortgage on that share and pay rent on the remaining 60% to the housing provider. Over time, you may be able to increase your share in stages. depending on eligibility and finances. Eligibility is important. You must demonstrate a local connection to the district. That could mean you currently live there, work there, or have close family ties in the area. And Martock itself? It's one of those Somerset villages people quietly compete for. Independent shops, local pubs, countryside walks, yet close access to the A303 for commuting. It manages to feel rural without being cut off. So no, this isn't a £68,000 freehold bargain. But for someone priced out of full market value homes in sought-after Somerset villages, it might be a stepping stone that feels surprisingly realistic. 7th place. Next, we have £65,000 for a 3-bedroom house in Somerset. And technically, it isn't a full purchase. It's shared ownership. You're buying a 25% share of a home in Somerton, where the full market value sits at £260,000. Still, that doesn't make it insignificant. It just changes how you look at it. The property itself is a well-presented 3-bedroom terraced house on Pear Main Road. Inside, it feels like a proper family home rather than a compromise. There's a light open living space, a modern kitchen diner that works for everyday meals and weekend hosting, and even a downstairs cloakroom. That extra water cabinet might not sound dramatic, but families know how useful it is. Upstairs, you get 3 genuine bedrooms, plus a family bathroom that keeps everything practical. Outside, there's a terraced garden with a covered seating area, which makes it usable even when the weather shifts. 2 allocated parking spaces are included, so no circling the block in the evening hoping for a gap. Now let's talk numbers properly. If you purchase the 25% share at £65,000, you'll need at least a 5% deposit based on that share value, not the full £260,000. On the remaining 75% that you don't own, you pay rent of £533.60 per month. Then there are additional monthly costs. Service charge at £18.26, buildings insurance at £14.82, and a management charge of £13.33. That totals £46.91, excluding the rent, though these figures can adjust during the buying process. Eligibility matters here. You must demonstrate a need for affordable housing and show a strong local connection to the South Somerset district. So who is this really for? Someone who earns too much to qualify for social housing, but not enough to comfortably buy at £260,000 outright. Shared ownership lets you step onto the ladder in stages. Over time, you can staircase and buy additional shares until you eventually own 100%. It's not the same as a £65,000 freehold bargain, but for the right buyer, it's a structured pathway into a 3-bedroom home in a historic Somerset town that might otherwise feel out of reach. 8th place. Next house is priced around £60,000. 2 bedrooms, ground floor, right in the centre of Martock. But as we have shown you earlier, this is also a retirement apartment for the over 55s, and it does need some updating. So this isn't polished, it's more of a practical opportunity. Being on the ground floor matters. No lifts or stairs to rely on. You walk in and everything sits on one level. The layout is simple and easy to understand. A hallway with a storage cupboard leads through to the main living room, which measures just over 4.5 metres in length. There's a front-facing window and even a feature fireplace. It might not be grand, but it gives the room a focal point. The kitchen sits separately, with wall and base units, composite work surfaces, an electric oven and stainless steel sink. It's functional, though likely ready for cosmetic improvement. New cupboard doors or updated flooring could change the feel without huge expense. 2 bedrooms are included, which is slightly unusual at this price within retirement developments. One works comfortably as the main bedroom, while the second could serve as a guest room, hobby space or simply extra storage. The bathroom includes a panelled bath with electric shower over, weigher cabinet and wash basin. Again, usable, but perhaps ready for a refresh. What makes retirement properties like this stand apart are the shared facilities. There's a communal lounge where residents can gather if they wish, a laundry room on site, well-maintained communal, gardens with lawns, patio areas and pathways. It creates a sense of community without forcing it. You can participate or keep to yourself. There's also a pendant emergency alarm system and a non-resident house manager. That adds reassurance without feeling intrusive. Importantly, it's offered with no onward chain, so if someone is ready to move, there shouldn't be a complicated waiting process. Martock itself remains one of those Somerset villages people quietly seek out. Local shops, pubs and countryside walks sit within easy reach. Living centrally here means everyday errands don't require a car, though communal parking is available. At £60,000, this is about affordability in a desirable village, with the chance to modernise at your own pace. For the right buyer, that combination can feel surprisingly workable. 9th place. Now this house really pushes the definition of cheap. Guide price of £50,000, 2 bedrooms, Castle Carry. But before anyone gets carried away, this is being sold via the modern method of auction. That means it isn't quite the same as a traditional purchase. You have 56 days to complete after your offer is accepted, which gives time to arrange a mortgage, but there's also a non-refundable reservation fee of 4.5% of the purchase price, with a minimum of £6,000 including VAT. That fee sits on top of the price you pay for the flat itself, so the real cost needs to be calculated carefully. Now the property. It's a first-floor flat in the Victoria Court development. The layout is straightforward. Kitchen, living area, bathroom, 2 well-sized bedrooms. Everything sits on one level, and the windows are fully double-glazed. From a structural point of view, it sounds stable. The key thing here is requires updating. So expect cosmetic work, possibly flooring, possibly a new kitchen over time, maybe bathroom improvements, but that's also where the opportunity lives. For someone willing to modernise gradually, this becomes a project rather than a finished home. The bones are there, the configuration works. 2 bedrooms at this guide price in Somerset is not common. There's access to communal gardens. Shared green space might not be private, but it adds breathing room. The property also comes with allocated parking, which removes daily hassle. In smaller towns, that convenience often gets overlooked until you don't have it. Castle Carry itself is a draw. It's known for its railway station with direct connections toward London Paddington, which quietly boosts long-term value. It's a small market town with local shops and countryside nearby. You're not isolated, but you're not overwhelmed either. One more practical note. Buyers must complete identity checks and review the buyer information pack carefully. There's also a £300 contribution toward preparing that pack. Due diligence matters here. So yes, £50,000 looks dramatic on a thumbnail, but once you factor in fees and renovation, this becomes a calculated play. For the right buyer, possibly an investor, or someone comfortable with light refurbishment, it could turn into a surprisingly smart move. 10th place, £45,000. At first glance, that feels almost impossible for Somerset. But like a few of the others we've looked at, there are layers to understand here. This is a 1-bedroom apartment on South Street in Yeovil, set within a warden-assisted development, so it's aimed at buyers who value a managed environment and added reassurance. There's lift access, secure entry through a reception lobby, and level pathways leading out to communal gardens. It's designed to be easy to navigate. The flat itself sits on a higher floor, positioned toward the rear of the building, but with a sunny outlook to the front. Inside, the entrance hall includes a large storage cupboard, which sounds minor but makes daily living less cluttered. The bathroom sits just off the hallway and is described as spacious rather than squeezed in. The main living space is where the apartment opens up a bit. There's enough room for both seating and a small dining table, and a Juliet balcony at the front allows in plenty of natural light. It won't give you outdoor seating, but it does create a sense of openness. The kitchen connects directly from the sitting room and has its own window, set up for lighter use rather than heavy cooking. The bedroom is a good size with a built-in wardrobe and front-facing window, again benefiting from that brighter aspect. Outside, the communal gardens are only a short walk from the apartment's entrance, with seating areas available. There's also a parking space within gated grounds accessed from Petters Way. In town centre locations, secure parking can be surprisingly valuable. Now the structure of the sale matters. This property is being offered via the modern method of auction. That means buyers have up to 56 days to complete after agreeing a deal, which makes mortgage finance possible, subject to criteria. However, there is a non-refundable reservation fee of 4.5% of the purchase price, with a minimum of £6,000, including VAT. There is also a £300 contribution toward the buyer information pack. All of this sits in addition to the purchase price. So yes, £45,000 is the guide price, but you must calculate the full picture. For someone seeking a managed environment, town centre convenience, lift access, and secure parking at an entry-level price, this could represent a workable option. It just requires careful attention to the auction terms before stepping forward. So yeah, these were some of the absolute steal deals I managed to gather for you around Somerset. If any of these places caught your eye, let me know which one was your favourite. I'm always curious which homes you'd actually move into. And in next video, we're heading up to Scotland, and trust me, the deals up there get even crazier. So make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you there.